Most people think you need a massive garden to grow serious herbs. A half-acre. Raised beds lined up like soldiers. Maybe a greenhouse. The Amish don't think that way. I spent a weekend with an Amish family in Lancaster County, and what I saw in their backyard stopped me cold. For square feet of stacked herbs. Layered like a living pantry. Basil, oregano, thyme, lemon balm, chamomile, all producing at once, in a space smaller than a coffee table. The woman running it told me she harvests and sells over $1,000 worth of herbs every single season from that one stack. No irrigation system. No expensive soil amendments. No chemicals. She called it the lazy stack. Because once it's built, it essentially runs itself. Here's what nobody tells you: most herb gardens fail not because of bad soil or bad seeds. They fail because of structure. The wrong layout starves every plant competing for the same light. Today I'm revealing the exact Amish lazy herb stack method, step by step, so you can build one this weekend. Stay till the end. The final layering secret is what makes this produce all season long. But before then, if you're tired of spending hours in the garden, pulling weeds, and constantly watering plants, I created something just for you. My ebook, The Lazy Gardener's 30-Minute Garden, shows you simple systems that make gardening easier, smarter, and way less work. Just click the link in the description below and download your copy today. Here's what most herb growers do wrong. They plant everything flat. Mint next to basil next to rosemary, all in a row, all fighting for the same patch of sun. By midsummer, the aggressive ones choke out the delicate ones. Half the bed goes to waste. The other half bolts before you can harvest it. You've probably done this. You planted with good intentions in spring. By July, it looked like a jungle, but not the productive kind. Tangled. Bitter. Half the herbs flowering too early, turning woody and useless. And the space. Most people think more ground means more herbs. So they keep expanding. More beds. More maintenance. More watering. More weeding. The real problem isn't your soil. It isn't your seeds. It isn't even your climate. The problem is dimension. You've been growing in 2 dimensions when herbs want to grow in 3. The Amish figured this out generations ago. Stack the right plants in vertical layers, and each one supports the next. Less competition. More yield. Less work. That's the whole secret. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to build the Amish lazy herb stack from scratch. We're covering 5 critical layers, each one chosen for a specific reason. Every plant earns its place. Every layer feeds the one above and below it. Nothing is random. By the end, you'll know exactly which herbs go where, why the stacking order matters more than the soil, and how this 4-square-foot system keeps producing from early spring all the way through the first frost. The final layer, layer 5, is the one most people completely overlook. It's also the layer responsible for at least 1/3 of the total harvest value. So stay till the end. If you're someone who loves growing real food, real medicine, and real independence, right in your own backyard, make sure you're subscribed. We put out practical, no-nonsense growing content every single week. Hit the bell so you don't miss it. Now, let's build your stack. We're starting with the foundation layer, and if you get this one wrong, nothing above it will perform the way it should. Layer 1. Comfrey. Comfrey is the anchor of the entire stack, and arguably the hardest working plant in any serious herb garden. Most people walk past it at the nursery without a second glance. That is a costly mistake. Here's what makes comfrey the non-negotiable foundation of this system. Its roots drive 3 to 4 feet deep into the subsoil, pulling up calcium, potassium, and phosphorus that shallow-rooted herbs simply cannot reach. It doesn't just grow in your soil. It mines it. Every time you cut comfrey back, and you'll cut it 4 to 6 times per season, those leaves break down into one of the most nutrient-dense mulches on Earth. The Amish call it green manure. Organic gardeners pay premium prices for comfrey fertilizer tea at farmers' markets. You'll have more than you can use. Here's the fact most growers never discover: comfrey is also a powerful medicinal herb. Anti-inflammatory. Wound healing. Traditionally used for joint pain and bruising for over 2,000 years. Fresh comfrey leaves alone sell for $8 to $12 per bundle at herbal markets. Plant it at the outermost edge of your stack. Full sun preferred, but it tolerates partial shade better than almost anything else in this system. One root cutting is all you need, it will never stop producing. The commercial demand for dried comfrey is accelerating as the herbal supplement market continues to grow. What once grew only in Amish kitchen gardens is now showing up in high-end apothecaries and wellness boutiques nationwide. This is your foundation. Get it established first, everything else in the stack depends on what comfrey puts back into the soil beneath it. Layer 2. Rosemary. If comfrey is the foundation, rosemary is the backbone. It gives the stack its vertical structure, growing upright, woody, and strong while everything around it stays low and sprawling. That height difference is not cosmetic. It is functional. Rosemary acts as a natural windbreak for the more delicate herbs in the layers above and below it. It also repels a specific set of garden pests, cabbage moths, bean beetles, carrot flies, that would otherwise move through your stack and devastate the softer-leaved plants. You are not just growing rosemary. You are deploying it as a living shield. And the yield. A single established rosemary plant in a productive stack will give you consistent cuttings from March through November. Dried rosemary bundles retail between $6 and $14 at farmers' markets and craft stores. Fresh sprigs move even faster. Restaurants, caterers, and home cooks buy them weekly. One plant, harvested correctly, can generate $40 to $60 per season without ever being replaced. Here is what most gardeners never know about rosemary: it is a pollinator's magnet. When it flowers, and in a well-managed stack it will flower twice, it draws bees directly into your growing space. Those bees then work every other plant in your stack. Your overall yield from every other layer goes up because rosemary is flowering beside them. Plant rosemary on the north-facing side of your stack so its height shadows nothing below it. Prune it hard in early spring, never in fall, and it will double in size every single year. This is the plant that makes your stack look intentional, productive, and permanent. Layer 2 is locked in. The next layer is where the real daily harvest begins. Layer 3. Basil. This is your money layer. The daily driver. The plant that turns a decorative herb stack into a legitimate income source, week after week, all season long. Most people grow basil wrong. They plant it, let it grow tall, watch it flower, and then wonder why it turned bitter and woody by August. That is not a basil problem. That is a management problem. And in the lazy herb stack, the structure itself solves it. Basil planted in the middle layer receives filtered afternoon light from the rosemary above it and consistent ground moisture retained by the comfrey mulch below. That combination, softer light, steady moisture, is exactly what basil needs to keep producing leaves instead of racing to flower. The stack regulates it naturally. You barely have to intervene. Here is what that means in dollars. A healthy basil plant, properly pinched and harvested, produces cuttings every 7 to 10 days. Fresh basil bundles sell for $3 to $5 each at farmers' markets. Gourmet grocers pay even more. 1 square foot of productive basil, managed correctly, can generate over $200 across a single growing season. But basil does something else inside this stack that nobody talks about. It actively repels aphids and spider mites, the two pests most likely to attack your softer herbs in layers 4 and 5. It is pulling double duty. Producing income and protecting everything beside it simultaneously. Plant 3 to 4 basil varieties if space allows. Genovese for volume. Thai basil for premium pricing. Lemon basil for specialty buyers who will seek you out specifically. This layer is where most people first realize this stack is not a garden project. It is a production system. Layer 4. Lemon balm and chamomile. This is the layer that surprises people the most. Not because of how it looks, though it is beautiful, low and sprawling, dotted with small white flowers by midsummer. It surprises people because of what it is quietly worth. Lemon balm and chamomile are two of the most commercially demanded medicinal herbs in the natural wellness market right now. Dried chamomile flowers wholesale between $20 and $40 per pound. Lemon balm, used for anxiety, sleep, and digestion, commands similar pricing at herbal apothecaries and online wellness retailers. Both grow aggressively in the lower light conditions of layer 4. Conditions that would slow other plants down actually suit these two perfectly. Here is the mechanism most growers miss. Chamomile releases a compound through its roots called chamazoline, a natural growth stimulant that accelerates the development of every plant growing beside it. Experienced gardeners have called chamomile the physician of the garden for centuries. The Amish have always planted it near struggling herbs to revive them. Science is now catching up to what tradition already knew. Lemon balm spreads horizontally, creating a living ground cover that suppresses weeds and retains soil moisture across the entire base of your stack. It does the work of mulch while simultaneously producing a harvestable, sellable crop. One plant covering 1 square foot will give you 3 to 4 substantial harvests per season. Together these two herbs elevate your stack from a culinary garden into a medicinal one. That distinction matters at market. Buyers who come for basil stay for chamomile. Customers who find your lemon balm come back every single week. Layer 4 turns browsers into loyal repeat buyers. Layer 5 closes the whole system, and it is the one the Amish guard most carefully. Layer 5. Nasturtium and calendula. This is the layer the Amish woman pointed to last. She smiled before she said anything. Because she knew what I was about to realize. Most people treat nasturtium and calendula as ornamentals. Pretty flowers. Nice color. Something to fill gaps between the real plants. That thinking leaves serious money on the table. Nasturtium is entirely edible, flowers, leaves, and seeds. The flowers sell at premium pricing to high-end restaurants and catering companies who use them as edible garnishes. A single punnet of nasturtium flowers retails for $8 to $12 at specialty grocers. Chefs pay more for direct supply. One established plant produces hundreds of flowers across a season. Do that math. Calendula is the crown jewel of the medicinal herb market. Dried calendula petals are used in skin care, salves, tinctures, and teas. Small batch cosmetic producers, and there are thousands of them operating on platforms like Etsy and at craft markets, actively seek local, organic calendula suppliers. Dried petals sell for $30 to $50 per pound. A 4 square foot stack growing calendula at its crown, in full sun, will produce more than most small producers can use in a season. But here is the structural reason this layer sits at the top. Both nasturtium and calendula attract predatory insects, hoverflies and lacewings specifically, that feed on the aphids and whiteflies that target every layer below. Your crown layer is your pest management system. Fully organic. Fully automatic. Fully free. This is what the Amish understood that modern gardeners forgot. Every layer serves the layers beneath it. Every plant earns its place. Nothing in this stack is decorative. Everything is working. 5 layers. 5 plants, each one chosen with purpose. Each one feeding the system around it. And you can build this entire stack in a single afternoon. But before I show you exactly how to assemble it, the spacing, the soil mix, the one container mistake that kills productivity before you even start, I want to ask you something. Which of these 5 layers surprised you most? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. And if nobody has subscribed you to this channel yet, you are clearly someone who grows with intention. Hit subscribe. You belong here. Most gardeners work way harder than they need to. The secret is building systems that let your garden do most of the work. I explain exactly how to do that in my ebook, The Lazy Gardener's 30-Minute Garden. If you want to grow more food and flowers with less effort, check the link in the description and get your copy now. Now I want to tell you something the gardening industry will never put in a sponsored video. This stack costs under $30 to build. One time. The plants propagate themselves, self-mulch, and self-protect. Year after year. No subscription seed service. No proprietary soil blend. No expensive raised bed kit with a brand name stamped on the side. If everyone built one of these, the market for packaged herb bundles, commercial fertilizers, and pest control sprays would take a serious hit. That is not a conspiracy. That is just economics. The Amish have never needed any of it. Neither have traditional homesteaders, kitchen gardeners, or anyone who learned to grow from someone older and wiser than a YouTube ad. This knowledge exists. It has always existed. It just does not get monetized easily, so it does not get promoted. What gets promoted is complexity. Because complexity sells products. This system is the opposite of complex. For square feet. 5 layers. 1 afternoon to build it. The people who figured this out generations ago were not lazy. They were just smart enough to let the plants do the work. So what does this actually produce? By week 3, your basil and lemon balm will be ready for their first harvest. By week 6, your chamomile will be flowering. By week 10, if you have followed the layering order exactly, your entire stack will be in full simultaneous production. I have been running a version of this stack for 4 seasons now. Same for square feet. Same 5 layers. Rebuilt every spring from cuttings and divisions taken from the previous year's plants. My total seed and plant cost in year 2 was 0. The numbers are real. Basil alone, 3 plants, harvested every 10 days, generated over $200 last season at my local farmer's market. Calendula petals sold out every single week. Comfrey fertilizer tea, something I was essentially making as a byproduct, became one of my most requested items. Conservative total across 1 season, just over $1,000. From for square feet. If something goes sideways, if your basil bolts early or your chamomile struggles, check your rosemary positioning first. 90% of stack problems trace back to the structure layer blocking light it should be redirecting. The stack will tell you what it needs. Learn to read it. This stack is more than a growing method. It is a philosophy. Every layer supports the one beside it. Every plant gives something back to the system that feeds it. Nothing takes without contributing. Nothing grows at the expense of everything else. The Amish did not invent this. They preserved it. Passed it from grandmother to granddaughter, from kitchen garden to kitchen garden, through generations that understood something we are only now beginning to remember. You do not need more space. You do not need more money. You do not need more time. You need better structure. For square feet, built with intention, will outperform 40 square feet of flat, competing, exhausted rows every single time. That is not a gardening tip. That is a principle that applies to almost everything worth building in life. Start small. Layer deliberately. Let every element earn its place. The Amish woman in Lancaster walked me back inside after she showed me that stack. Before she closed the door, she said something I have not stopped thinking about since. She said, "We never grew more than we needed. We just learned never to waste what we had." Build your stack. If this gave you something, hit the like button. It takes 1 second and it helps more people find this content. Subscribe if you want more practical, no-nonsense growing knowledge every single week. No filler. No sponsorships. Just what actually works. And drop a comment right now, tell me which layer you are building first. I read every single one and I reply. If you know someone with a small backyard and big intentions, share this with them. This is exactly the kind of thing that changes how people think about what is possible. See you in the next one. But before you go, imagine spending just 30 minutes a day in your garden and still harvesting more vegetables, herbs, and flowers than ever before. That's exactly what I show you inside the Lazy Gardener's 30-minute garden. Click the link in the description below and grab your copy today so you can start your low-effort garden system right away.